Hello everyone, it's Train King James here and I'm back with another layout video. I do these every year around Christmas and this is the second time I've done a floor layout. This is a pretty big one honestly, so I like this one a lot actually. This has been a big year for layouts for me honestly, between the ones I built at Shining Tide 2019 and just the ones that I've been able to build here. I've been able to do a lot of things with layouts. So without further ado, we're going to start somewhere where I usually don't start. We're going to start at Ellsworth Station. And if you were paying attention throughout this layout video, you notice a few new items that I have. So here we have Thomas with Annie in Clareville, Percy with 2 mail cars at Ellsworth Station. And there's Emily with the NAFTA Express coach. There's the pedestrian bridge. Here we have Ellsworth Station proper, and we have the Ellsbridge platform, which I actually picked up at a train show recently. As you can see, you have a pole here that comes with it, but it's not the actual pole. I actually had to custom make this. The way I bought it, it came with the roof, the station building, and the platform, but it was missing the pole, so I had to make that myself pretty easily. So there's Ellsbridge. We're going to start on Thomas's line. We're going to come along this line here. It's kind of hard to navigate. And we're going to go to Henry's Tunnel where Charlie is. You're going to come through here, which leads into the turnaround. Brendam Warehouse. And inside the Brendam Warehouse you have a crossover track. If you just continue to go straight, you go to where the fire water crane, I'm not sure exactly what people call it, is. There's the fire crew, there's Belle, and here is the Sodor Search and Rescue Center area. We'll come back to it in a second. It's Harold on top of the fire station. Come back around, it's time. So it's kind of like a little loop, but you can also break the loop by going onto the double crossover track here. So we're going to go back this way. You have Rocky. And there's a switch there at the Sodor Search and Rescue Center that leads to the cars from the accessory pack to the Dustin set. And speaking of Dustin, something new we have, and this is what I got for Christmas. I got the Dustin and the Sodor Storm Team book pack. So we have I believe it's called a weather tracker.
Be careful, the rails will be slippery in the snow.
So it tracks the weather. So we have Captain over there on the water. If you go here, there's a switch that leads into the docks. We'll go there in a second. If you go back this way, you go through the weather tracker. You go to where Flint is at the fire station. Come back around to Percy's line at Ellsbridge. And if you go up this way, go to where Stanley is on top of Henry's Tunnel. You go to a switch there, which leads you back through here. And you go back to where Rocky is. Before we do that, I'm going to quickly cover this area right here. So if you go on Emily's line, you go this way to Toby's Windmill. You go into the Henry's Tunnel, underneath the engines here. And then you go to the Mountain Tunnel. We'll go back in that direction in a second. Go this way, you're on Hero's line. He's by the dairy farm, he's got some milk tankers. There's Trevor. There's the James Goes Buzz Bus at B House, last station. It's not really defined what it's supposed to be. There's Terrence Field. You go to this switch and there's Fergus and he's at the cargo drop. It leads to the upper track of the rescue center. So we're going to follow all these tracks that have been going off the rescue center into the docks. So here's the upper portion where you have Henry pulling the flying kipper. If you go around here, there's Cranky and Porter with a crate. Salty over here, and he's got the aquarium cars. Go on this bottom track. Here is the Brendam crane, the Brendam Bay cargo crane that came with the Brendam Bay shipping set. You go into the shipping warehouse here. You go over to Lighthouse Bridge where the Sodor Bay tugboat and cargo ship are. We'll go that way in a second. You go in the line where these cars are at the rescue center. You go actually underneath the Brenda Bay shipping set, and you go this way towards the sawmill, the log loader, a couple other destinations. So I'm going to shift places. We're going to continue in this direction along Henry's line, and you reach the elevated crossing. So here you have Henry, Vinny, Murdoch, and Hank, and they have decently long trains. We're going to follow Vinny's line. He goes into the upper portion of the sawmill with all my gray faces. And that line loops to where Derek is. And he's heading towards the quarry. We'll go back. Derek's pulling all of my scruffies. And that line goes to the upper line of the Brendan Bay shipping warehouse, and that connects back to Henry. So this is kind of like, if you wanted to go through the sawmill, you can come this way and go on Vinny's line. If you want to go this way, you go on Derek and Henry's line and come back to the... And they both lead to the four-way crossing. We're going to jump back onto Vinny's line real quick. We're going to head in the direction of Murdoch. Sorry, I got it back up. And you go to where my overhead stacking railway is. I love using this on layouts, it looks cool. So, we're going to follow Murdoch. He's pulling these red trucks, which were made by Ryotron 12. And that line loops through to Ulfstead Castle Station, where Stephen is, with the castle coaches. And we jump back from this line that led from the Brendan Bay shipping warehouse. It goes over the lighthouse bridge, goes under this stacking riser, and it leads to this train of tankers. You have some of the Yumsis tankers I have, some of the Tar tankers I have, and that's being pulled by Molly. And this track goes under Ulfstead Castle here. We'll get there in a second. And goes through here, which we'll go that one in a second. You go on this switch, you go underneath the castle, and you go to where Flora is at the Ulfstead station. Quickly, I'm going to jump on this top track here while we're here. If you go where Flora is and you decide to go up, you go to where Millie is, and she's pulling a couple of coaches. And you go to here where Samson's pulling the circus train, and that line goes down that way, and we'll go that way a little bit. So, if you decide to come down from Millie's line, or you decide to go straight on Molly's line, you go to where Spencer is, and he's at the Duke and Duchess's house. I don't have the coach for it, but I do have the baggage car, so he's there. You go to a switch, which leads to the brown turntable. So, let's give you a better view of who's here. You've got the Ulfstead Castle, signal box where the Earl is. You've got Connor and Caitlin resting in their sheds. You got the turntable here. That line leads to a ramp, connects to a water tower, and that leads to Tidmouth where Frida is. If you go this way, comes around, there's Frida at Tidmouth. You have a couple of sidings. You go here, you reach the Glennick switch tower, where Bill and Ben are each pulling a China clay car. If you follow, I can't tell who that is. I believe that's Bill's line. You go this way onto the Deluxe Railroad crossing. You go underneath this bridge, and you go into the coal station. So we'll hang out here for a sec. So at the coal station line, you've got Stafford. He's got some of the coal cars here. If you jump over here, here's Logan. His line goes underneath the bridge too. Goes away from the coal loader. And Logan is pulling Fred in the coal car, and Stafford's got two coal cars. He goes through the Crosby Coal Tunnel because we're by the coal station. And we go back to where Flora is at Ulfstead Castle. Okay. Let me change positions real quick. If you follow where Hank is, here at the elevated crossing, you go past the grist mill, and he's pulling a very long train. A lot of miscellaneous trucks. You have Hector right there. You have some custom rolling stock right there. Some few pieces in the Tidmouth covered bridge. There is the suspension bridge that leads to the double wide iron bridge, where D199 and D261 are. there is Ben's line, and that's where D199 is. If you follow both lines, they lead into another harbor, which is kind of like Nafford Harbor. So here's Ryan. He's got a cargo car. There's Bulstrode with a package. There is the kind of the raft that Thomas sat on in Misty Island Rescue. Lighthouse, you have Skiff and Harvey. And the reason why it's called Nafford Harbor is because we have a station here. Technically, this is another Nafford station that I have, but I decided not to go for the 6-lane Nafford. I went for a 4-lane. We're going to get there in a second. If you follow D199's line, you come to where Ryan is, you split, there's Harvey and Skip. Harvey's putting breakdown trains. It splits into two. We're going to go this way first. We're going to go to the scrapyard. So, if you... Sorry guys, a lot of stuff to move back here. Here's Ari and Bert. I can't tell who's who right now. But they are at the scrapyard / Crux scrapyard. Always just kind of combine everything together. There's Reg with a package. If you go straight here, you go to where Den is. If you follow this line here, you go around to where Ari and Bert are, and it comes back around and connects to the main line right over there. If you stayed on Harvey's line, you go to where Dart is, and that leads to a T-switch, which connects to where Norman is at some sheds. So we're going to follow Den and Dart's lines. They both kind of lead to the same place. We're going to switch on Den's line. We're going to run into Nafford Station. So here at Nafford, it's a pretty busy day. We have a lot of trains. So we have Neville, James, Gordon, and Duck, and they are pulling trains. You've got Neville is pulling some of my red custom coaches, actually all of them. James is pulling some of my express coaches, and Gordon's pulling the rest. James has 3 new coaches I got recently at a train show that I haven't had the chance to show off. So that's cool. Yeah. And Gordon just had the ones that I've had for like the last year or so. And Duck has Old Slow Coach. There is a Sigma box here. You've got Sir Topham Hatt's car, but we'll go there in a sec. We're going to go straight on Den's line, though. It leads to this switch, which leads back to where Ari and Bert were. You go to this switch, it leads to Gordon's line. If you followed Gordon out of Nafford, you would go up this Bay Bridge where Boko is, and he's pulling. I'll get a better view of it later, but there's the baggage cars. So we're going to go on Neville's line real quick. Head back this way. If you follow Neville's line, you go through Nafford, the red coaches, you lead to a switch. If you go around, switch here, you go to Dennis. There's the chocolate factory. Dennis is pulling all my cars that vaguely relate to chocolate. You got the Easter car, Chocolate Rickety, and you have the High Hot Cocoa Tanker, which is an old custom. Goes under the cargo crane and back to where D261 is. There's Winston over there with the flat controller. He's heading towards Nafford, and there is Stafford at the coal station. So now we're going to jump away from the tracks just for a bit, and we're going to go somewhere different. We're going to take the road. So here's Lorry 3. This year the road section's way better than last year. I prefer it. You're going to go underneath the stacking risers where the Crosby Station cargo truck is, because it's going to have to pick up coal from Crosby. Come around to George. Going to go up to where Birdie is. There's Lorry 2. He's in the... Ouch. He's at the mountain overpass. You go down, there's the scrap lorry. We're going to come back to the road, but I want to just cover some things in this area before we get too far away. So you go on James's line at Nafford this way. You go through this Nafford signal house that came with the Logan set. It's supposed to technically be Nafford Station, but I call it the Nafford signal house because, come on, which one looks more like Nafford? Come this way, and you have Diesel. He is at the oil derrick with an oil tanker. You have a house right there. Go this way, you go to where Oliver and Toad are, and they're pulling a mail coach. You go underneath that line, you go up to where Samson is. If you go this way on Gordon's line, you go to this destination, which I haven't shown off, but I've had for a while, is the Sam and the Great Bell. set destination where you have the bell tower. Here's Sam, and that line goes this way. We'll go there in a sec. I'm going to change position because I'm going to cover a new part of the layout. Some other new destinations I have. If you follow Duck's line out after, we're going to go to one of my more recent destinations. I got this for my birthday. We're going to go to the repair and go station. I'm going to call it the Steamworks. You have Victor and Kevin, and you have a lot of activity here. You've got Neil and Billy. The reason why Billy's here is he's really chipped up. You can kind of see. You have the Scottish twins over here, Sir Handel and Madge. So, if you go on either one of Donald and Douglas's lines, they basically go to the same place. They come out the sheds and they go to a switch way, and they connect to where Whiff is by the barrel loader. And Whiff's line just kind of follows right where Duck is at Naffer with Old Silk Coach. If you go this way, you go to the bottom part of the bell tower at a four-way crossing, where Scruff is with a garbage car. And if you go this way, you go to Tidless Station, where you have Daisy and Bulgy. This is a reference to an episode of the CSC. If you guys know which, comment in the video, and that'd be awesome. Here is the turntable from the Logan set. If that's where he would connect to it if he went straight on Scruff's line. He goes to where Victor is at the works. So, it's kind of hard to film some of these parts in the way because you have a lot of scrunched up sections, so you have to kind of squat. Here's Boko again. Here's a better view of his train. He's just pulling baggage cars on the Bay Bridges. And that comes down to a switch. If you go this way on the switch, you go to where Splatter and Dodge are at the transfer table. However, if you go up and over Muffle Mountain, you come to a town called Shining Time. Ah, see what I did there? Up and over Muffle Mountain. There is Diesel 10. He's just kind of sitting back watching. There's Burnett Stone's house. Corner, let's see if I can get a bit closer. You go this way, there's a switch here, Stepney. Don't ask me why Stepney's at Shining Time. He's got an Naffer Express coach. You go this way, go to where the magic buffers are, and there's Lady. Back. I'm going to backtrack real quick. If you come this way out of the works, you come up to my highway crossing where Butch and Caroline are. Caroline broke down and Butch is giving her a tow. You come to my switchyard track. So there's a lot of ways you can go here. It can kind of get kind of confusing. If you go this way, you go to where Dustin is, and that leads back to Tidmouth. And then that goes back to where Scruff and Whiff are. You go this way to Gator's line. He's pulling the Soda Brass Van coach. That connects to the transfer table. Splatter and Dodge are currently having problems. If you go this way from the transfer table, it goes to where Sydney is, and where Sydney is goes over the Archstone Bridge, and there's Arthur at the wharf with Colin in a dock. And I got Colin at a train show, not the one that I got some other stuff that I've shown off in this video from. I got it at an earlier one. Here's Arthur and he's pulling a car of fish. You got the Soda Bay barge. Arthur's waiting at a crossing for Paxton to go by with some stone, presumably coming from the quarry, which we'll go to in a minute. If you go this way in Arthur's line, it leads back to where Sam is. If you go this way onto the Soda Railway Repairs line, you go through the Archstone Bridge, go to where Coley is at Muffle Mountain, you go down into Henry's Tunnel. So we still have a few things to cover. I think the best way to go is to go here. So we're going to go the other side of the Sam set, the bell tower. Sorry, not somebody over. And you go into the quarry. Let me try to see if I can get a couple angles. This is very interesting. I like this part of the island. It's one of the first sections I actually completed. So you come out here, you go to a switch. There is Timothy pulling the cargo car of crushed rock and a sling cart, which maybe is pulling the rock crusher cars. He's at Boulder Mountain. There's Thumper. you go into Timothy's line, it leads to where Merrick is with Marion. Go underneath Merrick, come to a switch. If you go that way, you connect back to the loop that leads to Ellsbridge and the docks, the rescue center. If you go this way, however, you go onto Rosie's line, and she's pulling 2 of my grain cars at the Stodar grain loader. You go this way, here's Philip. You come around, you go to where Wilbert is at the mountain tunnel. Wilbert's there with Big City Engine and Coldy, who's pushing Catherine. Wilbert goes down to Paxton, and that leads back in that direction. If you go on to Mavis's line, here, you go around Boulder Mountain, you go to where Ashima is. She is at the cargo transfer, which is another destination I got recently. So we're going to start at the end of the road here. This end goes around. There's a lorry 1. You go to where Elizabeth is. Go to the crossing where it's hard to get this angle. You've got Marion and Merrick. And that connects back to where a scrap lorry is, which goes over the mountain overpass. And around and back again where we were before. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I only have 2 areas left to cover. So if you go where Ashima is with the cargo car, you go under the mountain tunnel where Big City Engine is. And you come out and there's a T-switch right there. And you have Edward pulling a Nafford Express coach. And you have Hugo at the airfield at the airship. If you go this way, here's Edward, he's at Wellsworth. That switch leads here and it goes back to Stanley. If you go straight, however, this way to Hugo's line, you go to the airfield and the airship. You go over this small bridge and it connects back to the transfer table. Alright. One more line to cover. Or one more area, I should say. If you go to where Derek is, you go over the hill where Merrick is, you come down, you go under the mountain overpass, you go to Marin Station. There's Toby with Henrietta. You come away, and you end up at the Sawmill with Dumping Depot. You have Vash Dash and Ferdinand with the law cars. Ferdinand's line leads back to the docks. Vash and Dash are currently at the lower track. On the upper track we have Vinny. And I believe we have covered everything. Trying to see if there's anything I missed. Sometimes with these bigger layouts you realize there's like a ton of sections you could have talked about. And there's always like that one little thing missing somewhere. I believe I covered everything. I like this layout a lot. I'm not sure if I like it better than last year's, but I definitely like this one a lot. I think this is a really strong layout. Get to see a lot of newer destinations that I haven't shown off. Oh, I do see something I skipped. If you go to that switch over there, it's back to the suspension bridge, and there's Flying Scotsman over there. I don't know if I've shown this off. I've had this for a while, but I do have a Sodor suspension bridge, which is cool. That leads back to where Stepney is at Shining Time. I don't believe I talked about that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed 2019. I hope you guys have been enjoying the videos I've been putting out. 2020, I have a lot in store for this channel, and I hope you guys are all ready. So this has been Train King James, signing off.